Imagine you're a professional football player in the NFL. You have spent your entire life training, grinding through injuries, battling through a brutal sport that demands everything from your body and your mind. Football is your world. It has always been your world. And then one evening in May 2026, you find yourself standing on the floor level of Stanford Stadium, not as a player, not in your uniform, not with a helmet on, but as a fan. As someone completely swept up in something you never expected to feel this deeply. The lights go down. The crowd of over 60,000 people around you erupts. And BTS takes the stage. That is exactly where Camryn Bynum found himself on the night of May 16th, 2026. And what happened next? It didn't just go viral inside the ARMY community. It crossed over into sports media, into mainstream news, and landed on the desks of journalists and reporters who had probably never covered a BTS story before in their lives. Because what Camryn Bynum did, and what he said afterward, was the kind of crossover moment that only one person in BTS consistently creates. And you already know who we're talking about. Jimin. Park Jimin. Our boy. But before we get into all of that, let's make sure everyone watching this video knows exactly who Camryn Bynum is, because this story is so much richer when you understand the full picture. Camryn Bynum was born on July 19, 1998, in Corona, California. He is of Filipino descent, which is a detail that will become very relevant in just a few moments. He attended Centennial High School, where, interestingly, he was actually considered undersized for football and didn't even make the varsity team until his junior year. That alone tells you something about this man's resilience. He pushed through. He went on to play college football for the California Golden Bears, earning first-team All-Pac 12 honors in 2020. In 2021, the Minnesota Vikings selected him in the 4th round of the NFL draft. He played for the Vikings for 4 seasons, racking up impressive stats, over 400 career tackles, 12 interceptions, 36 pass deflections. By 2025, he had moved to the Indianapolis Colts, where he continues to play today as an active safety. In other words, Camryn Bynum is not some casual observer. He is a legitimate, decorated NFL player at the top of his game. A professional athlete who has spent his career being physically and mentally tougher than almost everyone around him. And this man, this NFL safety, is a BTS ARMY. A genuine, unapologetic, fully committed ARMY. And his favorite member? Jimin. Now let's talk about what happened at Stanford Stadium, because the events of that night are the reason we are all here right now. BTS's Arirang World Tour has been one of the defining cultural events of 2026. The tour, named after the beloved Korean folk song that represents Korean cultural identity, spans 34 regions and 85 shows across the globe. It is the largest world tour in BTS history. And as part of the North American leg, BTS performed 3 sold-out shows at Stanford Stadium on May 16th, 17th, and 19th. They became just the second musical act to ever headline that venue, following Coldplay's historic performances there in 2025. The demand was so overwhelming that a 3rd show was added after the first 2 sold out almost instantly. 60,000 fans per night. 3 nights. At Stanford, Camryn Bynum was there on opening night, May 16th. He had field-level seats, front and center, as close to the stage as you can get. And from the moment the concert began, Bynum was not just watching. He was fully in it, dancing, cheering, living every single second of that night. Then something happened that nobody could have scripted. During the performance of Onpanman, J-Hope, known throughout ARMY as Hobie, the member with what many fans call unlimited energy and the most infectious performance presence in the group, came to the edge of the stage near where Bynum was standing. J-Hope spotted Bynum dancing. They locked eyes, and for a brief but absolutely iconic 10 seconds, the two of them had a dance battle. Right there, in front of 60,000 people, an NFL safety, and one of the most celebrated performers in the world, trading moves in a moment that felt completely spontaneous, completely joyful, and completely electric. Bynum later described it to TMZ Sports with the kind of pure, unfiltered excitement that you almost never hear from professional athletes. He said, and I'm gonna let his words speak for themselves here, when J-Hope came over there and started dancing, we locked eyes and I started just clowning and having a good time. And he saw me and I was like, I gotta turn up even more, cause he's known for being the guy with all the energy. It was a cool moment to be able to lock eyes and be able to dance and have a mini 10-second dance battle. It was super fun. Bynum posted the interaction on social media. Within hours, it had racked up an enormous number of views and likes. The NFL crossover army content machine was fully activated. But then something even better happened. J-Hope himself commented on the post. Hobie saw it, acknowledged it, and responded. An NFL player and a BTS member connecting across platforms over a shared moment of pure dance energy. ARMY absolutely lost their minds. And then came the interview with TMZ Sports. Bynum sat down and talked about the concert with the kind of reverence that you usually reserve for life-defining experiences. He said, "This BTS concert I went to, no disrespect to anybody else, but this was probably the best show I've seen in my life. From the production, from the choreography, and for me especially being a fan of music and being a fan of dance, and specifically being a BTS fan, this was the day of my life for me." The day of his life. An NFL player said that about a BTS concert. Let that sink in. But it was during this interview that the moment ARMY had been waiting for finally arrived. Because someone asked Bynum directly, "Who is your favorite BTS member?" And without hesitation, without any deliberation, without any uncertainty whatsoever, Camryn Bynum said, Jimin. Park Jimin is his favorite BTS member. The Jimin effect had officially reached the NFL. Now let's talk about what this actually means, because the Jimin effect is not just a fan phrase. It is a documented, observable, recurring phenomenon that has been happening for years, and it keeps expanding into new spaces, new industries, new demographics, new corners of the world that you would never expect BTS to reach. The Jimin effect, at its core, is what happens when someone, anyone, from any background, from any culture, from any age group or gender, encounters Park Jimin for the first time and is completely, immediately, and irreversibly captivated. It is the way his presence commands attention without demanding it. It is the way his performances make people feel something they cannot fully put into words. It is the way his artistry, his emotional authenticity, and his sheer magnetic charisma transcend every barrier that you might think would separate him from a new audience. We have seen it happen at Paris Fashion Week. In October 2025, Jimin attended the Dior Spring-Summer 2026 show at the Jardin des Tuileries, making his first major public appearance after completing his military service. The viral images and videos from that event showed something remarkable. Male journalists, photographers, and staff members who had likely been attending fashion weeks for years, who had seen every major global celebrity at these events, were completely transfixed by Jimin's presence. One photographer was caught on camera with wide eyes and a stunned smile, staring at Jimin as he posed. The image spread globally, and the internet collectively labeled it the Jimin effect. People of every gender, every background, completely unable to look away. That same day, Jimin's appearance at Dior helped make it the most mentioned brand during the entire Paris Fashion Week, with a 46% share of voice. One man, one appearance, and the entire conversation around the biggest fashion event in the world shifted toward him. And it is not just fashion. Jimin was named the most powerful Asian celebrity of 2025 in a global survey conducted by Icon, an international fan-driven platform that measures cultural influence, commercial achievements, social contributions, and worldwide appeal. The survey drew millions of votes from fans across continents, Asia, Europe, North America, and beyond. Jimin came in first. Not just first among K-pop artists. First. Period. This is the man that Camryn Bynum chose, out of all 7 incredibly talented, incredibly charismatic members of BTS. Jimin. But let's go deeper on the Bynum story, because there is a layer to this that makes it even more meaningful. Camryn Bynum is of Filipino descent, and the Filipino community's relationship with K-pop, and specifically with BTS, runs incredibly deep. Southeast Asian fans have been among the most passionate, most dedicated, most culturally engaged ARMY members in the world since BTS's earliest days. For Bynum, growing up with Filipino heritage in California, his connection to Korean music and culture was likely not something he had to build from scratch. It was probably woven into the cultural fabric around him from early on. And when he finally got the chance to see BTS perform live on the biggest stage of the Arirang World Tour, it was not a casual, curious outing. It was something that meant something to him on a personal level that went beyond just attending a concert. This was a lifelong ARMY finally getting his moment. And his moment was extraordinary. The promise he made afterward makes this story even better. When TMZ Sports asked Bynum whether the concert experience had inspired him to give BTS a shout-out during an actual NFL game, his answer sent shockwaves through the ARMY community. He said, and again, I want you to hear his exact energy here. I'm doing it in a game. I'll put that out right now. My first celebration is going to be a BTS dance. I won't say which one, but I'll put that out on the airwaves now that it's going to be a BTS celebration. He continued, it's only right. J-Hope was up there turning up with me, and so I gotta return the favor and do a celebration for BTS. An NFL player is going to celebrate a touchdown with a BTS dance on live national television in front of millions of American sports fans. ARMY, do you understand what this means? This is not just a fun celebrity crossover moment. This is BTS's cultural footprint physically entering one of the most watched sports broadcasts in the United States. This is the Arirang World Tour's impact extending beyond the stadium, beyond the concert, beyond the fan community, and embedding itself into mainstream American culture in a way that is completely organic, completely genuine, and completely driven by one thing: the power of BTS to make people fall in love with them regardless of who those people are. And at the center of it, at the specific pinpoint of it, when Bynum was asked to name his favorite member, is Jimin. Let's also think about the broader context of where BTS is right now. The Arirang World Tour is currently making its way through North America. After Tampa and El Paso earlier in the spring, Stanford was the third stop on the North American leg. And the tour is not slowing down. Las Vegas comes next, followed by European dates in Madrid, Brussels, London, Munich, and Paris. Then back to the United States for MetLife Stadium, Gillette Stadium, M&T Bank Stadium, and AT&T Stadium. 85 shows, 34 regions. A tour that is by every metric the most ambitious undertaking in BTS history. And everywhere this tour goes, stories like Camryn Bynum's are happening. People who never thought of themselves as BTS fans are walking into those stadiums curious, or even reluctant, and walking out completely transformed. The Arirang World Tour is not just a concert series. It is a conversion machine. It is proof that when BTS performs at their full capacity, with the production, the choreography, the emotional depth, and the sheer spectacle that they have built over more than a decade, there is no one who can remain untouched. Bynum said it himself, the best show he had ever seen in his life. And the member he named, Jimin. Here is something worth sitting with for a moment. Jimin is not just a performer who captivates audiences from the stage. He is an artist who has spent years refining every single aspect of his craft to a level that very few performers in any genre have ever reached. His dancing, which has been called some of the most technically precise and emotionally expressive in the world, is the kind of dancing that makes trained professional dancers stop and stare. His vocals, which have developed significantly since BTS's early years, carry a weight and a texture that hits you somewhere physical, not just emotional. His stage presence is something that defies easy description, because it operates on multiple levels simultaneously. He is technically flawless and emotionally raw at the same time, controlled and vulnerable at the same time, disciplined and free at the same time. And then there is who he is offstage. The Jimin that ARMY knows through Weverse Lives, through behind-the-scenes content, through the moments he shares candidly with his members and his fans. That Jimin is warm and funny and deeply caring, and sometimes achingly honest about the struggles of being who he is. That combination, the world-class artist and the deeply human person, is what creates the kind of fans that Camryn Bynum represents. Not casual listeners, not casual appreciators, people who feel genuinely connected to Jimin as a human being, not just as a performer. That is the Jimin effect in its truest form. And it has now officially, undeniably, reached the NFL. Bynum also mentioned that he has a football camp planned in South Korea in July 2026. BTS will be on the European leg of the tour at that point. Brussels, London, Munich, but Bynum expressed hope that their paths will cross again someday. And honestly, given the way the story has unfolded, it feels less like wishful thinking and more like a matter of time. The universe clearly has a plan here. There is one more thing I want to say before we wrap up this video. And it is something I think about a lot when stories like this one surface. There are people, and you have probably encountered them, who still try to put BTS into a box, who still try to describe their fan base as a specific demographic, a specific kind of person, a specific corner of the internet. Stories like Camryn Bynum's exist specifically to dismantle that narrative. Because here is a man who has spent his career in one of the most physically demanding, culturally specific, and thoroughly American spaces that exists, professional football. A man who plays in the NFL. A man who has made his living being tougher than the people trying to stop him. And this man is ARMY. This man's favorite BTS member is Jimin. And he is not embarrassed about it. He is proud of it. He announced it to TMZ Sports. He is promising to celebrate his NFL touchdowns with BTS dances. He wants the whole world to know. That is not just a feel-good story. That is a statement about what BTS has built. That is a statement about what Jimin represents. That is a statement about the kind of art that genuinely transcends the categories we try to put around it. The Jimin effect is not a marketing campaign. It is not a fan-organized movement. It is not something that can be manufactured or planned. It is what happens when someone with Jimin's particular combination of talent, heart, and presence enters the room. Any stadium, any stage, any interview, and does what he does. People feel it. People respond to it. People remember it. And now, somewhere in Indianapolis, an NFL safety named Camryn Bynum is sitting with the memory of the best night of his life, planning exactly which BTS dance he is going to perform on national television when he makes a big play this season. And millions of ARMY around the world are going to be tuning in to NFL games with a little extra anticipation, waiting for that moment. Because when it happens, the Jimin effect will be on the field. And if you are watching this video and you felt every single word of what we just talked about, if this story hit you somewhere real, if it made you proud, if it made you smile, if it reminded you why being part of this fandom is unlike anything else, then this video was made for you. If you are new here, welcome. We cover Jimin and BTS with the depth and the care that they deserve. Subscribe if you want to be part of this community. Leave a comment below. I genuinely want to know, what is your reaction to hearing that Camryn Bynum's favorite member is Jimin? Did this surprise you, or does it feel completely inevitable? Because honestly, for those of us who have been ARMY for a while, the Jimin effect surprising anyone stopped being surprising a long time ago. Like this video if it gave you that proud ARMY feeling. Share it with someone who needs to understand what the Jimin effect actually is. And stay close, because with the Arirang World Tour still rolling and BTS at the absolute peak of their powers, there are so many more stories like this one coming. We will see you in the next one. ARMY, take care of yourselves. And as always, Park Jimin, you really did that.